This is LSAT PrepTest 147, Section 2, Passage 2, about Eileen Gray, a designer who moved from lacquer to furniture to architecture. Medium difficulty passage. The trick is that this looks like a biography, but it's not. The author's making an argument, and every detail about Gray's career is evidence for that argument. If you read this like a life story, you're going to get the structure questions wrong. Now, this is a humanities passage. The main point is one idea. Gray's lacquer work and her furniture work, they were not early phases she grew out of. They were already architecture, just in different materials. Now, the most important paragraph is the last one. That's where the author stops showing you Gray's career and tells you flat out what it all means. Everything before that is built up. Now, paragraph 1 does two jobs. First, it drops a detail about Gray that seems like a throwaway, but isn't. She always focused on details that were hidden. Not visible, but hidden. File that away pays off in paragraph 3. Then the paragraph explains lacquer. It is a layering process. You coat a surface over and over, sometimes 20 layers or more, and each layer disappears under the next. The author ties this to Gray's artistic taste. She rejected the ornamental Art Nouveau style that was everywhere in Paris. She liked clean lines and simple forms. You want to read this at a steady pace. It feels like background, but the hidden layers idea is the core of the whole passage. Now, paragraph 2 is where the argument gets moving. The author explains that lacquer creates a built-in problem. You've got to coat both sides of the wood or it warps. So you're always juggling how something looks against how it needs to be built. And that tension is doing something specific here. The author is saying it gives Gray's lacquer work an architectural quality, like it's structural. And then you watch Gray's work evolve in a sequence. Flat panels first, then door panels, then screens. Then comes the moment that matters the most in this paragraph. She builds a screen for an apartment lobby that juts out from the wall into 3 dimensions. It breaks apart visually into separate blocks of lacquered surface. And the author says it becomes a painting, a piece of furniture, and an architectural element at the same time. That is the author's argument in miniature. After that, Gray shifts to furniture, using steel, tailoring pieces to specific rooms. You don't want to get lost in the details here. They are examples. The point was the screen. Then paragraph 3, you want to slow way down here. The author uses the word prefigures, and that one word carries the whole argument. It means everything Gray did before was already pointing toward architecture. It was not separate. And then the author makes the comparison explicit. Architecture for Gray worked the same way as lacquer. You build from the inside out. But here is the twist. In architecture, the hidden layers aren't just coating, you live inside them. The author gives you examples. Cabinets tucked into staircases, desks that are also cabinets, tables on pivots that serve different purposes, depending on where you put them. And then the passage ends with a move that is easy to miss. Gray put a carpet under one of those tables, no matter where it was. Inside, outside, on a balcony. The point was that Gray was erasing the boundary between interior and exterior. And that's not some random design choice, that is the argument itself. She treats inside and outside as the same space, the same way lacquer treats every hidden layer as part of the finished surface. Now, the key move here is the parallel between lacquer and architecture. Both have hidden layers. Both are built from the inside out. Both refuse to separate structure from surface. And so the hardest questions here will test whether you saw that parallel or just saw her career timeline. Now, the author thinks Gray's entire career was one continuous idea, not 3 separate chapters. The trap is treating each paragraph here like a different phase of her life. Paragraph 1 is lacquer, paragraph 2 is furniture, paragraph 3 is architecture. That's how it looks. But the author of this passage is saying those aren't phases. They are the same idea expressed through different materials. If you organize the passage as a timeline, you're going to pick wrong answers on main point and author's purpose questions. And those wrong answers will describe what Gray did. The right answer will describe what the author is arguing about what she did. Now, before you get to the questions, check yourself on these 3 things. First, why does the author spend time explaining how lacquer is applied in paragraph 1? Second, what does the screen that juts out from the wall prove? And third, why does the passage end with a carpet under a table?